The year 1975, I first came to Chiang Mai. It's a northern province of Thailand. At that time, it's very cold in the winter. You can see many people make a fire everywhere. Even in the city, people make a fire in the morning and evening and sit around the fire to get warm. In every village, people make a fireplace every house. During November until February, that's the winter here. It's very cold. But in the last 15 years, nobody make a fire anymore. Nobody wear a jacket anymore. So this is a big change that I noticed, that quite big change. But not many people talk about it. People think it's normal. But how can the winter disappear for more than 15 years? This is one thing that make me think about, this is the biggest crisis is happening. And last year, my rice field, about 20 acres, the yield dropped 50% last year. Even we have a lot of rainwater, we have good compost, why it dropped? But I noticed that the temperature rising up higher than other years. There's one study, they said that if the temperature in the world increase up to 2 Celsius, it will make the rice production decrease. So that's one thing become like an indicator that tell me that something crisis, something big gonna happen. And this year, we prepare everything very well, but we have no rain until the middle of rainy season. And then when we start to plant, almost the end of rainy season already, when the rice start to grow not very long, we have the big rain and big flood. Most of people lost their crops this year. Many things has changed so much now. How can we prepare ourselves for this change? Because most of people don't aware of this thing. Most of people think it's normal. Because their lifestyle has changed so much. They do not work in the field anymore. They work in the city, in the room, in the office, in the factory more and more. So not many people are aware about this change. But from so far, I can see that the change of the climate have a big impact on food production, especially in Thailand. I think everywhere in the world, but in Thailand, I noticed this seriously. We cannot leave it like this. But most of people don't think about it. It's so sad. It seems like people who got sick, but they don't accept that they got sick, or they don't know that they got sick. So they never think about how to treat themselves, how to heal themselves. It's the same thing. We are in the crisis time, but we don't believe that we are in crisis. So nobody think about solution. Nobody think about how to solve the problem. So when the biggest crisis happen, it will be the big disaster in our life. So to prepare is important. It's like a normal people have to buy insurance. To prepare ourselves for the biggest crisis in the world is it's the same way with buying insurance. From my experience, it make me think a lot about crisis that help me to change myself easily, change the way of thinking, change the way of farming, change the way of living, prepare myself for the biggest change that's coming soon. We cannot do farming in the way that we used to do anymore. We cannot grow cash crop. We cannot use high technology anymore. We cannot spend so much money invest in farming anymore. Now we need to design our land to be able to decrease investment, increase yield with no chemical and high technology. We can develop, we can invent something that's hard and complicated for many years. But why we cannot research or develop in the way that make it less complicated, less money, less labor, and high yield? So far, I discovered that farming is quite fun to do designing for sustainable, designing for easy life. I think one lucky thing for Thai people is we have one king. King Bhumibol is the one who invent this theory. One theory he called sufficiency economy for us, which many people think, oh, it's good, but not many people bring it into practice. But for many Thai people who bring into practice, this theory help us to prepare ourselves very well for crisis. Even there's no crisis, it helps us to live easily and sustainable ourselves more and more. Sufficiency economy is one thing that start to be popular after King Bhumibol passed away. Now more and more people think about it. That's because of the world come to the top part, the peak of the civilization or the peak of consumption era. So now it's going down. So people start to see that everything is harder and more complicated. To come back to think about sufficiency economy, it helps us to see solution, to see we can make our life easy in this way, in a sustainable way. So sufficiency economy, the main thing is about self-reliant. Rely on ourselves, rely on each other, and rely on human, rely on nature, not rely on system so much, not rely on the money so much. For people who live in the city, which is the majority of population in the world right now, most of them working harder and harder. It seems like we don't know when we can rest. We work hard, busy all the time, more tense, more worry. We eat very bad. We have a broken family. We have a problem with relationship with people. We don't know how to be together. We work hard for who? Everybody seems like suffer a lot lately. So this thing, it become another kind of crisis in the world too, crisis of living. But not many people think it's a problem. Life have to be like this. Actually, it's not. Life can be changed, can be designed to make it easy and fun, and we can enjoy it too. So sufficiency economy is one thing that helped me to understand life better, can help me to understand that I can design my own life. I don't need to surrender to suffering. I don't need to surrender to depressed or unhappy condition. We can decide. My life is in my hand. So I want people to know that we can design our life. I want to share my experience about how to be sufficiency. I want to share my experience about changing my life based on the theory of sufficiency economy. See you next week.